Hello there. We must draw a line. Rishi Sunak demands major police crackdown on extremist poison on the streets of Britain as he pleads for national unity amidst waves of Gaza protests and the alarming by-election of George Galloway in Rochdale. Now, I'm not going to go on about his speech and read it out to you. It's there for you to see, or if you've not heard it already. But basically, what he was saying was about the condemnation of extremist behaviour. His speech strongly condemns acts of intimidation, threats and violence carried out by extremist groups targeting various communities, including Jewish and Muslim. He also was reaffirming the British values. The speaker emphasises the values of patriotism, liberalism, democracy and tolerance that define British society, and how they stress the importance of integration, contribution and respect for the rule of law amongst all members of society. He opposes the extremist ideologies. He also identifies Islamist, extremist and far-right groups as the two sides of the same extremist coin, both seeking to undermine democratic process and slow division in society. He calls for a resistance against the attempts to spread hate and violence. Oh, and he's committed to action, the lad. He pledges government action to address the root causes of extremism, strengthen counter-extremism measures, support the PREVENT programme, and ensure that extremist individuals and organisations do not receive legitimacy or support from central government. He calls for peaceful protests while acknowledging the right to protest. The speech urges demonstrators to reject extremist ideologies and demonstrate peacefully and respectfully. Overall, the speech sends a clear message of determination to combat extremism and uphold the values of democracy, tolerance and unity. Well, I don't know where to start on this, Mr. Sunak, sir. I just don't know where to start on it. This has kicked off because now, not the odd MP, but all MPs feel threatened. Feel threatened by the lunatics that you lot have actively let into the country under the "it's good for the economy" ideology. We've put up with this for years. When we've tried discussing it, mentioning it. Well, for example, I'm a white privileged boomer with a racist to boot. The nail on the coffin lid for me was Remembrance Weekend, when we had thugs climbing all over our war memorials and the police stood by. That's when I finally realised that Britain was broken. You've allowed tens of thousands of extremists into this country and made laws so that I and others like me had to just put up with it. If I objected, I'm a racist. Like now, I don't want the illegal immigrants in hotels, especially when we have our elderly, vulnerable, not being looked after properly, frightened to death of putting the gas on to keep warm. We have veterans in doorways. We're taxed to the gills. You've restricted our abilities the best way you can for us to thrive. You, your government, your cohorts on the opposition, and now you want me to be patriotic to what? A country that you and your cohorts, and not forgetting the sneakies in the corridors of Whitehall, have destroyed a Britain that not just only my relatives, my grandparents fought and died for, and you want me to be patriotic. With regards to Gaza, we're full to the gills of watching women and children being blown up, killed, maimed, seriously injured. And while they're trying to recover from that, they're starving, water shortages, food shortages. A ceasefire, if there was any humanity in it, would have been insisted upon. The nutters in Palestine and the nutters in Israel can sort it out amongst themselves, but leave innocent people alone. Leave women and children alone. As regards to this country, children in this country are frightened to death of going to school because they're Jewish. Muslims trying to get about the business are frightened because there's a few nutters in the church, the mosque they go to, or they live in the neighbourhood, you know, ready for action. And the good Muslims of this country are stifled when you haven't done a tap about it. You've not encouraged it, of course you haven't encouraged it, but you haven't done a tap about it. Now it's affecting you. Well, you can't do anything about it anyway, because come the next election, the Tories won't exist. They'll be reduced to the history books. If they're not rewritten, of course. And while we're on the subject of ideologies, net zero, WEF, WHO. You talk about democracy. What democracy? the democracy to vote you to tell us what we're having, or the democracy for me to choose the other lot to tell me what I'm having? And that's democracy, is it? And you want me to defend that, dear? You know the problems with this country. You can't be stupid. None of you. But the major problem in this country is that there's not a one of you that picks your wages up, that deserve to pick your wages up. That's the problem. You stifle free speech, freedom of expression, the right to peaceably protest is coming on the cards. That's what's going to happen, because you cannot control the halfwits that are running round London and other places, intimidating, threatening, and actually carrying out extreme acts of violence. We've got a police that wouldn't come to some elderly person who's had the house broken into, or the shed, or the car. They might get a crime number if they wait a couple of hours on the other end of the phone. But me happen to call someone who's not the same colour as me, I'll be locked up within 20 minutes. Now you think about all these things. I could even go on more, but I'm not. I'm not telling you how to do your job. But if you'd like me to show you how to do your job, I will do. I don't think a lot of you people in the House of Commons will have jobs by Christmas. And you know what? I haven't got any sympathy for you. You've allowed it to happen. You've begged for it to happen. You've never, ever listened to people. And if you check your history, you'll find out that I'm right. Best of luck with it all, because you're gonna need it.